All right, so to my packed house, my sold out arena. When your ancestors called themselves black, were they referring to a color? All right, now, why is this important? This is important because, again, a lot of people have put forth the ideology and built organizations around the ideology that the solution for our people to move away from where we are right now is economics, sovereignty, paperwork, and none of those things are true. The solution that I offer, the solution that I contribute, is that the only thing that can get us from where we are to where we want to be is knowledge of self. And the reason why I promote knowledge of self, and I really mean knowledge of self, I don't mean the expanded version. All right, I mean really knowledge of ourselves internally, is because to know ourselves is to love ourselves. And once you love yourself, then you can love the people who look like you. You can love the women around you. You can love the children around you. You can love the brothers around you. All right, so until we get to the point where we really start to love each other, and I know that might sound boring as hell, that's just what it is. We got to get there. And there are plenty of examples. I could run down tons of examples of how, 100 years ago, it's easy for somebody 100 years ago to think that economics was the solution. We didn't have no money. For somebody 100 plus years ago, for even somebody maybe 60, 70 years ago. But the last 50 years, we've been cranking out millionaires. We got people hitting the lotto. So we're going to go through some of this information. All right. When your ancestors called themselves black, were they referring to a color? The reason why that's there is because a lot of the people that want to refute the historical significance of us being a black nation will often demean this word, this term here, black. They will demean the term black by calling it a color, okay? And sometimes, just in the heat of battle, I get in the trenches, I start throwing blows. I might refer to black as a color, but black is not a color. And your ancestors were not calling themselves a color. They weren't describing themselves as a color. Scientifically, black is not a color. Black is a process. They were telling you that you are not only capable of the process, but a part of the process. Black represents a process. Black represents the blending of all of the possible parts, individual pieces and components of the electromagnetic spectrum. Okay? That is what blackness is, the synthesizing of the electromagnetic spectrum into a coherent medium. Okay? That's what black represents. So when our ancestors named the land Kemet, they weren't naming the land Kemet because the black soot from the water falls onto the land. Because then there would have been no reason for them to call themselves Kemet to you, unless the soot was falling on them too. Okay? So, let's see if I get my gadget working. All right. Gadget is working. Gadget is not working. Okay, let's do this. All right. The Sudan. All right. 1842 from the Arabic, Bilad al-Sudan, literally meaning country of the blacks. All right. So this is just another example, Sudan, of us having a nation named after the people, country of the blacks. That is the definition of Sudan. Okay, coming from Aswad, which also means black. Okay, Aswad, meaning black. Sudan, country of the blacks. All right. Now this here is something that we deal with in the classes in the school. All right, and it's not first semester. You got to kind of You know, it's probably third semester where we really start tackling this, all right? So you want to go online to amberinstitute.com, enroll. So far, we only been up and running for a week. We got over 20 students. Everybody's doing good. So I'm proud of that. Okay, Daddy, get the phone. It's probably somebody late to class, so I'm not getting the phone. All right? But this number right here, which is the fine structure constant, 1/137, all right? This is one of the magical numbers that your ancestors encoded, and this number refers to blackness, okay? This number refers to blackness, so I just want to point out some of the science, all right? You got that role in the school, you want to get deep with it. You want to see how this applies to black biology, then you got to get to school, all right? But this is one of the numbers that reference blackness. It's a scalar, pure magnitude, and it measures electromagnetic coupling. And when you're dealing with electromagnetic coupling, you're dealing with blackness. This is a scientific term for blackness, electromagnetic coupling, all right? This is when the electromagnetic forces come together, all right? In physics, the fine structure constant, commonly denoted A, is a fundamental physical constant, namely the coupling constant, characterizing the strength of electromagnetic interaction. All right? Interaction is the different forces of the electromagnetic spectrum acting in a coherent fashion. Being an a-dimensionless quantity, it has a constant numerical value in all the systems of units. Arnold Sommerfeld introduced the fine structure constant in 1916. All right, so he introduced the fine structure constant in 1916, and I like the way they use the word introduced it. All right, because that means it was already in existence. He just brought it back up in a new crowd that wasn't familiar with it. Okay, no doubt we can go through the pyramids, and I can point out all of the ways that it's encoded in the information your ancestors left you. But for here, our reference is just to let you know that this has everything to do with blackness. The process that represents blackness, that's an ongoing process, okay? So now we're going to deal with a little quick basic grammar, all right? And this might be a little boring, all right? But hang in there with me because it's important, okay? Later on, we're going to have some interesting stuff later on. You know, we got Fruitvale Station, and you know, we got, what else we got for you later? We got naked booties and stuff to talk about. So we got some stuff coming up. All right? But for now, we got to deal with some grammar. All right? It's important. Because when we're dealing with this debate about the term black, this comes up. Is black a noun or black an adjective, or is it proper to use black as a noun? Or so last week we dealt with the term black more, blackamoor, etc., etc. in the etymology. This week we're going to deal with adjectives and nouns. An adjective, okay? So when you look up the word adjective, look what pops up next to it. Whoop. Noun, okay? A word or phrase naming an attribute added to or grammatically related to a noun to modify or describe it, okay? Noun. A word that is used to identify any class of people, places, or things, common noun, or to name a particular one of. So that means that a noun is just a specific type of adjective. So when you get to the definition of noun, a noun is just a specific type of adjective. So we can stop playing the word games. Okay, we're going to end the word games today. All right? A noun is a specific type of adjective. It's an adjective that applies specifically to people, places, or things. Okay, that's it. There's nothing else. There's no mystery hidden to it. Okay? Because I know a lot of people done self-educated themselves, and we might have skipped this part, the grammar part. So now that we done self-educated ourselves and read a whole bunch of 12-letter words and looked them up in the dictionary for ourselves, now we think we know context. Okay, so we're going to stop that, all right? A noun is just a specific type of adjective, okay? It is still used to describe a person, place, or thing. So it's used to describe something, all right? A specific type of attribute, identify, attribute, all right? Synonyms, identify, establish or indicate who or what something or someone is. The judge ordered that the girl not be identified. Recognize or distinguish, okay? So, if noun is something that is used to identify or to recognize or distinguish, then black, for brown and black people, would be the easiest way to distinguish them amongst nations, amongst nationalities, amongst races. That is the most distinguishing trait between different species of people. Okay, some of them are white, some of them are black. And yes, we will deal with the word white later, because white also represents a process. Okay, some of them are red. Okay, all of these things represent processes. They represent something behind them. All right. So, recognize, identify, from having encountered them before, know again. Okay, so now we look at recognize. From having encountered them before. So now if I'm a group of white folks from Europe and I come down and I see these people, first thing I'm going to think of is, damn, they black. So when I go back and tell people about them, those are black folks. Okay? So this is how we will recognize them. Okay? This is how they look different from us. All right? To identify from knowledge of appearance. From appearance. Okay? So when you get down to that 115 degree, I promise you, okay, I should have put some pictures up. They're black. Okay? Or character. When you get into character, which we would get into, then we start to get into a little bit of biology. Okay? Now you might not see that right out the gate, but we'll deal with it. Okay? Adjective. Now we're getting into the etymology. Adjective and noun from the Old French, from the Latin adjectivum, that is added to the noun. Okay? The neuter of adjectivus, added from, is added. To throw or place near. To throw. Noun. Name, noun. The etymology for noun coming from the Old French is to name or noun. Nom or non. From the Latin, nomen. Okay? All of these still relating back to the definitions. That's why I gave you the definitions first, and now we're going to go through the etymology. Etymology of name comes from noma, which is reputation. Okay? So now we're talking about reputation. And people have a reputation based on what they do. Okay? And we already covered that black is a process. Okay? So now people that are called black based on reputation are called black because of what they do, the process that they take part in or represent. So they have a reputation for being black. Okay? They have a reputation for being able to tap into the electromagnetic source. Okay, this is why in the Inquisition, they were hunting down witches, and witches were the ones who could tap into the source and practice sorcery. Okay, so this is something that's long going on where the Europeans understand exactly this information, but you're left out in the dark. Okay, so this is just giving you the historical precedent for the things that you think you know because you're reading the books. Oh yeah, 1492 this happened, 1500 that happened. Why was that happening? Because you're confused. You think that white or Europeans are oppressing black people because they need money. They print money and they type it on a computer screen. They're not looking to make more. They have all the money. Anybody with resources, they kill them and take the resource. So they're not looking for money or resources. They already have that. What they're looking to do is constantly make sure they suppress the process that you represent. They're trying to suppress your ability to tap into the source. Okay? So this is what it's all about. We have to understand this, knowledge of self, and the biology, the black biology, if we're going anywhere. Okay? So, the important thing about the name, when you look at the etymology, is that they're dealing with reputation. Alright? If we go to name, Old Welsh, name, alright, meaning a famous person or one's reputation from the 1300s, alright? So I just want to show you the modifier, meaning well known or well known for, Okay, the essential thing or quality is from 1966 on, to have one's name in lights, to be a famous performer, etc., etc. So the reputation, all right, proper, adapted to some purpose, fit or apt, commendable or excellent, all right. From the old proper, meaning own, particular, exact, neat, fitting, appropriate, all right. So the appropriate way to describe a people is based on what that people does, their reputation, what they represent. All right? So this is why your ancestors called themselves black. Kemet to you. All right? Because they tapped into that electromagnetic spectrum, which is where we all come out of. All right? So this is where that came from. From the early 14th century, belonging or pertaining to oneself, individual or intrinsic. These are words that allude to your biology. Once we start dealing with intrinsic, then we start dealing with internal nature, okay? Internal nature, all right? As pertaining to a person or thing, or in particular, special, specific, distinctive, okay? These are the ability to tap into the electromagnetic spectrum is a distinct, specific, special, particular characteristic of black people. Okay? So we can go right through all of these things and see how specifically the process of blackness refers to black people. And if you need more information, then you might have to get the DVDs. Me and Dr. Ali Muhammad just did a tour all over the country explaining to you the process that we do, the melanocytes, the keratinocytes, and all of those lovely things. All right? So we're going to keep going. Noun, grammar. Any member of a class of words that can function as the main or only elements of a subject of verbs. Okay? A dog just barked. So this means that any member of a class of words that can function as the main or only element of subjects of verbs. A subject of a verb is the determinative to let you know where the verb applies or to what the verb applies to. So we're describing, right? We're describing, we're identifying, okay? What I just showed you, an adjective does and what a noun does. We're identifying something specific, okay? So again, a noun is a specific type of adjective, all right? Or of objects or verbs or prepositions, to send money from home. And that in the English can take plural forms and possessive endings, all right? And these are just examples. Nouns are a part of speech, typically denoting a person, place, thing, animal, or idea. All right, so now they then added ideas in. So you see how words evolve. All right, in linguistics, a noun is a member of a large open lexical category. Open lexical category, whose members can occur as the main word in the subject of a clause, the object of a verb, or the object of a preposition. The subject. All right, so we're going to make sure you understand everything. The subject is according to a tradition that can be traced back to Aristotle, all right? And that is associated with phrase structure grammars. One of the two main constituents of a clause, the other constituent being the predicate, whereby the predicate says something about the subject. According to a tradition associated with the predicate logic and dependency grammars, the subject is the most prominent, overt argument of the predicate. Now, why this is important? Because we're dealing with, first of all, when you're dealing with language, you're dealing with how you articulate who you are. You're dealing with how you articulate your person, your being, your innermost you, how you share what happens on the inside with the outside world. Now, before even getting deep into this paragraph, right? Before getting deep into the paragraph, what you should note is that it says the subject is according to a tradition, a tradition. Out loud, for the class. Constituent, right. But look at this. This is based on a tradition that can be traced back to Aristotle. So when we're dealing with the basic parts of how we articulate who we are, how we articulate our consciousness, is based on the European. It's based on the European. So that you need to take with a grain of salt, okay, when we're dealing with these terms. All right? It's based on tradition. Tradition. Tradition is just something that people have been doing so long back that people keep doing it. Oh, my dad did it, so I do it. I do it, so my children are going to do it. I did it, my dad did it, my children do it, so their children are going to do it. Doesn't necessarily mean right or wrong. It's just tradition. Okay? So it's a tradition that can be traced back to white folks. All right? Then we can move forward. All right? So now you should have this part. You should be beginning to understand this picture as we break down the parts of a sentence and the structure. All right? Traditional grammar defines the object in a sentence as the entity that is acted upon by the subject. All right? So it basically is what the sentence is about. All right? A verb from the Latin verbum, meaning a word, is a word part of a speech that in syntax conveys an action. Okay? Conveys an action. When we dealt with our ancient languages, the whole, every letter of the alphabet, or every glyph, or every oath was a verb. Okay? It was a verb. Everything represented something in motion because that's what life represents. Now you get to these new languages, the languages are dead because it's about the European way of thinking, which is broken everything down into individual atoms and particles and pieces that are quote unquote unconscious in and of themselves. All right, so that's a whole nother thing that we'll deal with. So everything was based on verbs, just so you understand that. Preposition. Prepositions, or more generally adpositions, are a grammatically distinct class of words whose most central members characteristically express spatial or temporal relations, such as the English words in, under, toward, before, or serve to mark various syntactic functions and semantic roles, such as the English words of or for. And that primary function is relational. A preposition typically combines with another constituent called the complement to form a prepositional phrase relating the complement to the context in which the phrase occurs. All right? So just giving you a little quick 10, 15 minutes. Supposedly it got at least 9 years on grammar. Okay? But I'll give you a little 20 minutes to understand. All right? So now we go to the ancient Egyptian cartouche, the hieroglyph. All right? This guy. It's used to represent the Egyptian language word for name. All right? So why is that important, Minister Inky? Because we just went through name, the definition and etymology. We also went through what a verb means. All right? It is Gardner sign listed number V10 of the subgroup for rope, fiber, basket, bags, etc. Besides the cartouche hieroglyph used for the word name, the Cartouchian half section here has a separate meaning in the Egyptian language as a determinative for actions and nouns, dealing with the items to divide, exclude. Okay. We're going to take a look at this real quick. Okay. First of all, this is what your skin does. Your skin excludes you, the internal you, from everything else that's here. That's one. Your skin excludes, it separates you from everything else that's here. That's one. Number two, it's a determinative for actions. A determinative for actions. Okay? When we dealt with, well, maybe we haven't dealt with it yet. Let me see. Okay, it's coming. All right, it's coming. So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. All right? Oh, no, here we go, right here. I should have just kept on reading. All right? It's used for determinative Egyptian language for circuit or ring. All right? Circuit or ring. So now that we know life is electric, right? Before Dr. Sabi came in the 80s, we wasn't on that. Now Sabi came, he said life is electric, we should have that grounded, life is electric. Electricity requires a circuit. Okay, electricity requires a circuit. So now, when you deal with naming a thing, right? We're dealing with naming a thing based on the process that that thing represents. We're dealing with the functional aspect of that thing. So if your ancestors called themselves black, and we understand the process of blackness is about electromagnetic coupling, the coupling of the different vibrations, the different powers that exist that come out of that blackness, and combining them in various forms to make all of the things that we see and know of as the universe today, right? If we understand that is blackness, then we understand that when they name a thing, when they name their people, meant to you, this is what they were talking about. Being able to tap into that electric source, that source again, okay? So later it came to be used for Ren, the word name, all right? The word can also be spelled as R within the mouth over the horizontal end, okay, which you see here. The cartouche hieroglyph is used 7 times in the Rosetta Stone with the viper in the phrase Renef, his name, or name his, all right? Now, what is that up top that's hiding? Okay, so we don't get to see that part, all right? Saxon, old, Frisian word, Dutch word. All right, I guess we were looking at the etymology for the word word, all right, which is to speak, say, or utter, which is important because a lot of our ancient texts talk about utter and the first utterance, and what you're dealing with is the first sounds or vibrations. This is what Tahuti was famous for. This is how Tahuti is known for having all the wisdom, because he separated the sounds, meaning he named the different vibrations, which means he brought them into life. Because once you name something, you distinguish that which you named from everything else. So we're still talking about creation, all right? And you can't participate in that if you don't have the biology to, okay, all right. So hopefully y'all getting the picture. Hopefully I'm drawing a picture in your mind's eye, all right? The meaning promise was in Old English as the word theological sense. In the plural, the meaning verbal altercation dates from the mid-15th century. Word processor first recorded in 1973. Word processing, word rap. All right, so it's just giving us more examples of word. It is dangerous to leave written words around. Blah, blah, blah. All right, circuit. Late 14th century, a going around, a line going around from the old French circuit, a journey around something, a journey around something. So now we start to look at an even deeper aspect of circuit, okay, or the cartouche, representing the name, representing life, representing the process of blackness, going around something. Because in this universe, that's what everything is doing. Everything is going around something. That's the only thing constant. It's the spiraling nature of life. All right, so your very atoms, your blood is circulating through your body. It's going around your body. All right, we're on this planet. The planet's spinning. Then the planet's rotating around the sun. The sun's spinning. The whole, our little Milky Way spinning. Everything's rotating. So the only thing that's constant is rotation. And we dealt with last week how everything comes out of that trinity, which is rotation and counter-rotation. All right, so this is just an illusion back going to that, and how you can look at hieroglyphs as a system of encoding multi-levels of information into one picture. Okay, and I have a book coming out with the brother Mufon Patah, and yeah, everybody else, y'all know him off his Facebook page, Exposing Black Truth. So we got a book coming out, and we're dealing with the alphabet for the babies, but then also we have a story that encodes the alphabet, and then that story also encodes, you know, some of it is the Inca stuff. All right, so we're getting back into that. We're getting back into that speed of multi-levels of encoding information. All right, so from the Latin circuitous going around, from the stem of circere, circumere, go around, circum, round, plus ear, which is to go, all right? Which now we're going somewhere else, right? So now we're dealing with circuit, boop. Now we're going to start to introduce something that gets back to the familiar part of circuit. So we go ear to go, and then it says C ion. C. Ion, electrical sense from 1746 of judicial assignments from the 1570s of venues, itinerant entertainers, blah, 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 blah. All right? So we know circuits, you know, you got little tour circuits where you travel around, you do your little business. But the ion, okay, when we deal with the ion, we understand that that's popular now. White folks say it, then it's popular. Minister Inky say we need ions, like what's that nigga talking about? White folks say we need ions, then we running out to buy hair dryers with ions, ion machines. Okay, all right. Vibration, 1650s, from the Latin vibrationem, all right? A nominative vibratio from vibratus, see vibrate, meaning intuitive signal about a person or a thing. Intuitive signal about a person or a thing. So you might have thought the origin of the vibration was a little different. I already know. Right? You thought it was Harlem Shake. Okay? So intuitive signal about a person or a thing. Now, intuitive signal about a person or a thing. An intuitive signal is something we can't see with the naked eye, but based on our biology, we have the ability to pick up different waves and frequencies of energy and then translate them into usable information in our brain. This is going back to the process of blackness that we were talking about earlier. All right? Utterance. All right? That which is uttered from utterance, the voice, sound made by the human mouth. All right? So we're dealing with being able to create vibration. All right? This is why you see this. We're going somewhere with this. All right? Voice, sound, utterance, cry, call, speech, sentence, language, word. All right? Word. All right? Related to vocare, to call. All right? To give vocal utterance, speak. Speak, say, blah, blah, blah. All right? Color. Skin. The very first part, when you look up color, they say skin color or complexion. 13th century. The first reference in the etymology of color is to skin color or complexion. Okay? So I don't know. I don't know. Because now we're getting all this from white folks. So that's why the centuries is there. So when they say from 13th century, we know who came up with that. All right? They say 5000 BC, then we're dealing with something else. We're dealing with the cartouche. If we're not dealing with the cartouche, then we're dealing with Europeans. All right? So skin color, complexion from the Old French color, which is complexion, appearance. And we're going to go somewhere with this. So stay tuned. All right? From Latin color, color of the skin, color in general, hue, hue or appearance. Hue and appearance. Tuck those away in your mental Rolodex for now. Kolos, originally a covering. Wait a minute. Cover? I'm sorry. Is that what your skin does to your body? From the old Latin to a covering? Covering. It might just be me. Because I think that's what your skin does to your body. So we'll see what happens. Okay? To hide or conceal. Okay? That's how you protect. Okay? That's how your skin protects all that's on the inside of your body. All right? From pyru, kel, to cover, conceal. Okay. For sense evolution, Sanskrit, Varna, covering, color related to covers. All right, so we got it. Meaning visible color, color of something is attested in English from a color as property of things, color, word, hue. All right, so now, the reason why this is here, and this is important, is because the context of the word color itself has changed. Okay? The context of the word color itself has changed. Now the word color refers to static frequencies that we pick up with the eye. Before it was different. Okay? It referred to a covering. Okay? It referred to a covering. This was a possible meaning for color. A covering. So color didn't even always refer to a specific frequency that our eyes pick up. It referred to a type of covering. Okay? Then there's another context to notice. Where we have that word at? Appearance. We're going to get with appearance because I think it was last week or the week before that we talked about daylight, or the white light being Lucifer talked about in the Bible because it's deceptive. When you look at something, anything that you look at, like that yellow stick, I always point that yellow stick out because it's yellow. Yellow is the only frequency that's not present in that sticker. That's why the yellow photons are reflected back to my eye, and that's what I pick up. So that's where the deception is. Scientifically, we understand that yellow is the only thing not present in something that's yellow. Okay, so that's deception. All right? All right. So let's go down to complexion. All right? Complexion is a word I love because we go back to that little electric circuit thing. Right? We go back to that electric circuit thing because we know the root of complexion is complex. But complex is like light years away from the word complexion. Complex refers to like a maze or something being difficult. But then complexion refers to your skin. So what's the only difference visually, cosmetically, in the word complexion and the word complex? Our little buddy ion again. So now we're dealing with something electric once again. All right? So that's just, again, just tuck it away. Just don't worry about it. Tuck it away. Mid-14th century, bodily constitution. Okay, so your complexion was not based on the new context of color. Okay, it was more so based on the older context of color, which talked about the covering to hide or conceal. When you hide or conceal, the subject is basically what's on the inside, what's being hidden, or the constituents, right? The constituents. All right, so bodily constitution. All right, talking about your body's constituents, okay, from Abundance Child in the crowd, okay? Nobody care you studied all the information first? Old French complexion, combination of humors, okay? Now we're going right into biology. Combination of humors. This is your body fluids, okay? Humors is not jokes, okay? We thought humors was jokes. Okay, that's because we illiterate, and even those of us, most of us that still think we know how to read, because of the fact that we don't read, we're just functioning illiterates. Illiterates. Okay, see, I'm having trouble. Hence, temperament, character, makeup. Okay, so complexion dealt with your temperament, your character, and your makeup. Your complexion dealt with your temperament, your character, and your makeup. All right, so this is how you see how your complexion had everything to do with your name. Okay, your temperament dealt with your complexion dealt with your temperament, character, and your makeup. From the Latin complexionem, the nominative complexio, nominative, nomen. So we already dealt with the Latin root for name being nomen, and here you have complexionem being the nominative complexio. Okay, combination in the Latin physical constitution. All right, so your physical constitution determines your complexion. Okay, which we see is a nominative. So this is why people were described by the processes they represented, or as they were known, or the thing that distinguished them for everybody else. This is why your ancestors called you black. Okay, and those of you that are not black, so we can clear that up. The yellows, the browns. You have the ability to become black. So if you stand out in the sun and you eat citrus fruits and you do some other practices that are in the endarkenment protocol, I might add, hint, hint, wink, wink, okay, order your melanin mind state book. If you do those things and you get back into living in tune with nature, you'll get darker. Everybody knows that. So it still represents the blackness. Even if you're yellow, even if you, I already did the undoable. Okay? So you still have the ability, the possibility to go back to blackness. All right? And you can demonstrate that. All you got to do is stand outside on a hot day for a few hours and you'll see. All right? You might not be able to maintain it because your body loaded up with French fries and grease and all kind of other crazy stuff, and then you're going to go through 8-9 months with no UV and all that other kind of stuff. But complexion, all right? So your hue, first thing under hue is color, okay? We go back to color, we see color of the skin, color in general, hue or appearance, okay? And now we understand when applied to the skin, when we're dealing with complexion, because the first thing under color is skin color and complexion. So when we deal with complexion, we're talking about the combination of humors, the bodily fluids, right, which represents your internal processes going on, all right? So this is how your hue is determined, all right, by the combination of the humors or the combination of the various processes going on internally in your body, okay? So hue, Old English, color, form, appearance, beauty. Uh-oh. Did the hue determine beauty? Wait a minute. White folks wrote this. Hue determines beauty. Okay. Hue determines beauty. So I'm not even going to say nothing about that. White folks said that. Just so you know that. It's not a black power. It's not men's thingy. White folks said hue determines beauty. Okay, we're going to leave that there. Okay, what white folks is this? The Old English white folks. So these are the folks that run this town. Just in case you thought it was the French, the Germans, no. The British run America still, all right? And the British said the color, form, appearance determines beauty. All right, so we're going to move forward. From the Proto-Germanic Hiwam, or the Old Norse, birds down, Swedish, skin or complexion. So hue not only meant a specific type of color, it meant skin directly. Skin directly. This is the etymology, right? Because brothers want to get deep and say, oh, well, the definition don't mean nothing, brother, because you got to get to the etymology to understand. Okay, well, that's what we're dealing with today, etymology. We dealt with the definitions, now we're dealing with etymology, all right? So skin or complexion, all right? All right, so we can keep going, all right?
If hue makes up complexion,
right?
Okay, then
it's just another word for it. It's a synonym.
What makes up hue, and where does the organs come in terms of minerals going on and
when you
coming
deal with
together?
when you're dealing with the combination of your humors, which is your bodily fluids. So where the minerals would come in is the minerals are the things in your body which hold the various frequencies of the electromagnetic spectrum coming down to us. That's what the minerals do in our body. So basically, whenever we need a specific mineral, that represents a frequency that we need for that specific area of the body. So depending on our mineral density, our mineral content will determine the health of the various organs in the body, and how healthy the various organs in the body is will determine their ability to produce their hormones, bile, whatever, which are called humors, the bodily fluids. All right. So the status of the organs will determine the humors, and also what you put in your body. Okay. So if you woke up today and had you some chicken, scrambled eggs, right? Your humors might look different than mine. Okay. I didn't have nothing till just now, and I'm having me some mangoes and strawberries. All right, so mangoes and strawberries versus your chicken, You probably put a little fructose and what else you mixed on your chicken, You get chicken, with some fructose, so you know it's blood, so it give you a little, oh, that looks bloody. Then you might have had a little cow pus, your cup of milk. I don't know. So your humors might look different than mine. Matter of fact, your humors might be funny. Okay? Going back to the etymology of funny, being weird or strange, all right? So your humors might be funny, all right? To be humorous or humorous, all right, is an adjective relating to the body humors. Again, nothing about comedy here, all right? A native formation from humor, or else from the Middle French humorex, which is damp. So you're dealing with wetness. Or the Old French humor, the meaning funny dates from 1705 in English, all right? So humor or humorous had nothing to do with funny until the 1700s in England, all right? Humorously, humorousness, all right? Humoral, pertaining to the humors of the body. 1520s Middle French humoral from the Latin humor, all right? Humor, humor, all right? Humored, humoring. Humor. Fluid or juice of an animal or plant. all right, from the 14th century. Fluid or juice of an animal or of a plant, or from the North French, humor, blah, blah, blah. Bodily fluid relating to the humer, which is to be wet or moist, pubescence, to become wet, etc. All right? In ancient and medieval physiology, any of the 4 body fluids, which were blood, phlegm, choler, and melancholy, or black bile. Okay, black bile. Black bile. Okay, scientifically we know the only thing that can produce black is black. Okay, so if there's black fluid in the body, that means what else? Okay, all right, so that's another class. Whose relative proportions were thought to determine your state of mind? So now we're getting into the origin of how humor began to be associated with funny, okay? Because it's a far jump for most people to see how body fluids evolved into a word that has something to do with jokes or being funny, all right? But this is the process. This is how you can get some insight into see how words evolve. Because if we're having a debate over the meaning of words, the context of words, the usage of words, then we have to see how a word can have its origin meaning one thing and then evolve over time and begin to mean something else. All right, in order for us to accurately trace back a word to its roots. All right, so looking at the word humor, okay, we know it's the fluid or juice of an animal or plant. Okay, in ancient and medieval physiology, okay, physiology, which is the study of the body, any of the 4 body fluids whose relative proportions, okay, were thought to determine state of mind. All right, were thought to determine the state of mind. So depending on the status of your body fluids, determined how you thought, how you felt, your consciousness level, your level of consciousness. This led to a sense of mood or temporary state of mind. The sense of amusing quality of funniness is first recorded in the 1680s, probably via sense of whim, caprice, which also produced the verb of indulgence, first attested to in the 1580s. The pronunciation of the initial H is only a recent date. Yada, yada, yada. All right. So the main idea here is to understand that the internal health of the body produced the level of consciousness, the state of mind, and that's how the word humor or humorous began to be associated with its modern context or terminology, or usage, I should say. So we're going to get into that. Phlegm, all right? Viscous mucus from the Old French, phlegm, late phlegma, one of the 4 humors of the body. All right, now why is this relative? All right, this phlegm is a little deep, all right, but you'll see how this is relative, all right? From the late Latin phlegma, one of the 4 humors of the body, all right? From Greek, phlegma, humor caused by heat. From the Greek, phlegma, which is a humor or fluid caused by heat, okay? So now this is where you get your term inflammation, okay? This is where you get inflammation, all right? Heat, from phlegin, to burn, okay? Now, when you start going here now is when we start making a turn to being a synonym for some of the modern definitions of the word black. Phlegin, to burn, related to flocks, flame, blaze, bleg, which is actually one of the root words when you trace etymology back. It traces back to bleg, which is a word, a synonym for phlegm, okay? Meaning to shine or flash from the root, to shine, flash, burn, etc. This is why it's dangerous to let Europeans determine your culture and your ideology, okay? Status, all right? This is important, right? We're going to deal with all of these different things. So we're dealing with status now, right? Because brothers tell me you can't use the word black because that determines your status. Status. So we're going to look at status, okay? 1670s, status meant height. Okay, so they can't be talking about that. all right? Because the name doesn't determine how tall I am. Legal standing of a person. Okay, legal standing of a person. From Latin status, which is condition, position, state, manner, attitude, stare, stand, social or professional standing is blah, blah, blah. Now, why was it important that we went through all of the different definitions and etymology for the words adjective and noun? So that when we see this, we can see that status by itself, your status by itself, if you look at the etymology of the word status, has nothing to do with legal standing until they add the adjective legal standing to change the subject, okay, or the verb, okay, pertaining to the person, which would be the subject, okay? So they add the adjective legal to change the definition or the connotation of standing, because standing by itself, status by itself refers to the condition or position or the state or manner of a person, and we already seen, we went through the definitions, how that is determined by the internal processes, okay, the bodily fluids. So the same people who are giving you this information, they have the correct information, okay? So they know that your status is based on your physical constitution, who you are intrinsically. That's going to determine your state of mind. That's going to determine your level of consciousness, how you can articulate, how you can share with people, how you can love people, how you can hate people, whether you're going to be Zimmerman or Trayvon, that's going to determine everything, all right? So they have to add another word to status or standing to change the definition. So later it became legal standing, and they still use legal standing so that they can change the definition of status, because its original roots means your condition, position, state, yada yada. All right. Even here we see social or professional standing. All right. State, circumstance, temporary attributes of a person or thing or conditions. Temporary attributes of a person or thing. Okay. Conditions. Okay. Circumstances. From the Latin status, manner of standing, position, condition. Okay? All of these things, as we see, are determined by your internal constitution. Noun of action, from past participle, stem from stare, which is to stand, star to stand, Middle English, etc., etc. All right? Which is where the word estate comes from, the old French, estate. Okay? So we have standing and status from the word state, as well as estate. Okay, so all of these are financial terms, and this is all based on your biology. Okay, the Latin word was adopted in other modern Germanic languages, but chiefly in the political senses only. The Latin word was adopted into other modern Germanic languages, but chiefly in the political senses only. So they left the original context out and adopted the word strictly for political senses. So if we want to get to the root of a word, we have to go back to its origin before the word started to evolve. Okay? Meaning. Now we have meaning. Mental or emotional condition. Okay? Attested from the 1530s, which is prior to its 1670s, or the year 1670, when they started to use it as legal standing. So you have the 1530s, you have the 13th century, all of these things prior to it being used in courtrooms or being used as a tool for your oppression. Okay? Colloquial sense of agitated or disturbed state or perturbed state from the 1830s. All right? He shall from time to time give Congress information of the state of the Union and recommend to their consideration such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient. All right? Constitution, Article 2, Section 3. All right? State. It's another etymology. I'm giving you a couple, so you won't think that Minister Inky just pulled one and then I used it to flip it and bounce it for no. All right? 1590s, to set in a position. Okay? To set in a position. From state, the sense of declaring words, is first attested 1640 from the notion of placing something on the record. Okay? Declare in words. Okay? Declaring words is going back to naming. Okay, I'm distinguishing something. Okay, I'm stating it for the record. All right, so if I name something, I distinguish it from everything else. Okay, I state that for the record. I put something on the record. All right. Now the next one. State again. Political organization of a country's supreme civil power, government. Okay. Political organization of a country's supreme civil power or government. Wait a minute. So even in the political legal sense, this can apply to a person. Political organization of a country's supreme civil power or government. Put that in your mental Rolodex. From state, this sense grew out of the meaning condition of a country with regard to government, prosperity, etc. Okay? From Latin phrases such as status or republica, condition of the republic, often in phrase in church and state, often in the phrase church and state, which is attested to from the 1580s. The sense of semi-independence political entity under federal authority, as in the United States of America, blah, blah, blah. All right, so we got it. This does not apply to individuals, okay? So you cannot apply state or the word or its meaning to an individual, and you cannot use this as context for why people should not be called black, especially when the people represent the process that black represents. All right, so we went through that. All right, now we're going to deal with the other argument, okay? Because we could just ask y'all. Why do people say, why do the Moors specifically say that we should not use the word black to describe us? And because it means what? Death.
Geographics too.
Right.
Landmass.
But the main argument is because the word means black. And even in law, it means civil little mortus. I'm listening to these things, see? When you say stuff like that to people that's not really literate, it go right over their head. But if you know what that means, you're like, hold on. Civil little mortus, that means dead at law. Go slow, brother. Ask the next person to tell you that to go real slow and point out the word in that phrase that refers to death. It doesn't say civil little blacktus. It says civil little more. So wait a minute, I'm sorry. More means death? Hold on. Hold up. Now I'm confused, goddammit. You told me don't use the word black, because black means death, but I should call myself more. And then when I show you the etymology of the word black and take you all the way back to Egypt, you say, there's never been a black nation. I say, have you never heard of Kemet? Because that literally means black nation. Kem means black, and the et part behind it means community or nation. So that literally means black nation. Okay, so you confused, and you say, there's never been a black nation on earth. Yes, there has. The most powerful nation ever has been called the black nation. Okay, that's number one. Number two, when you say, yeah, brother, but that's historical, and you got to deal with the modern usage of the word, and the modern usage of the word is that black means death. And I can look it up and show you. And when you kill something, it turns black. And when you put something in, it gets rotten, it turns black. And this is black. Okay. So we're going to deal with the word more. Because if that's the case, a morgue or a mortuary is used for the storage of human corpses, awaiting identification or removal for autopsy, etc., etc. Burial, cremation, etc. A morgue. Mortuary, okay? Mortuary from the early 14th century. Mortuary, gift to a parish priest from a deceased parishioner, okay? Medieval Latin, moritarium, all right? Which means pertaining to the dead. Moritarium, pertaining to the dead, okay? From the Latin, mortus, of mori, which means to die, okay? Or meaning place where bodies are kept temporarily. Bodies, dead bodies, referring to the morgue or the mortuary. First recorded in 1865, a euphemism for the English term dead house. Did I say black house? Yeah, that says black house, right? Is that, because then if it says dead house and more, So then why would I be using the word more? Okay, so let me grant you your argument, right? Let's say the word black means dead, so we shouldn't use the word black. Then why would I use the word more? Because as we're going to see in a minute, more happens to be the most popular root word in current use for dead stuff. The word mortgage, okay, is a French law term meaning death contract. Death contract, meaning that the pledge ends or dies when either the obligation is fulfilled or the property is taken through foreclosure. Okay? Middle English from the Old French, Latin, mortlis, from mors. From mors, mort, meaning death. See mer in Indo-European roots. Okay? Liable or subject to death. Of or relating to humankind, the mortal limits of understanding. Of relating to or accompanying death, mortal throes. Causing death, fatal, or mortal wound. Okay, see synonyms for fatal. Okay, fighting or fought to the death. Unrelenting, a mortal enemy. A mortal attack of great intensity or severity, dire, mortal terror. Okay, you scared for your life. You might have been killed. All right. Conceivable. No mortal reason for us to go. Used as an intensive, a mortal fool. Okay, and that's what I hate to say it, Lord Albert. I hate to say it, Lord Albert. You want to go against Minister Ingy, you got to be a mortal fool. Mortal fool. Okay? So now I've took the liberty of pulling up a few hundred words. A few hundred. To start with more and relate to death. Just a few hundred. Okay? Oh, I have this beautiful little play for you.
Speak of me as I am, nothing extenuate, a one who loved.
We gotta get some sound on this. We got to get some sound on this. Get us a little volumington, right? Minister Inky refuses to live in a world where I cannot call myself black and be proud. I love James Brown, damn it. If it wasn't for James Brown, there would be no hip-hop. White folks going into hip-hop. James Brown said, oh, y'all don't got to pay for no samples. Y'all can use all my music sampled to death. Other than that, white boys were like, hold up, y'all can't buy no samples. All that zugga, that's over. Unless you can pay for your zugga, it's a wrap.
Speak of me as I am, nothing extenuate, a one who loved not wisely, but too well. For never was there a story of more woe than this of Othello and his Desdemona. Ah, Desi!
Yeah, Bob, can we have some light, please? We left Adam on his own to research this play. Apparently he looked up more in the dictionary and thought it was a place where you tie up boats.
Which what it totally
Which obviously, in this context, is obviously totally ridiculous because in the 16th century, the word Moor referred to a black person.
I feel like such a dork.
Yeah, well, go with the feeling. Look, ladies and gentlemen, obviously we have some difficulty in even performing Othello because, as you know, the part is written for a black actor.
And I guess you might say that we're racially challenged.
Exactly, yes. So the bottom line is we're not going to be able to perform Othello for you tonight. I'm very sorry about that.
No, we can do it. I got an idea that's totally bootless. And if we just get like a, if we just get like a rhythm going, you know, we just like a. Like here's a story of a brother by the name of Othello. He liked white women and he liked green jello.
Oh, yeah. And a punk named Iago, who made himself a menace because he
Didn't like Othello, the more of Venice, and Othello got married to Desdemona.
he took her for the wars and left her alone.
Was a Mona.
A grown-up, he left her alone.
He didn't write a letter and he didn't tell a phone. Yes, the woman he was thinking she was Destiny, right? She was the daughter of a dude.
Yeah, she was totally white. And Iago loved Desi like his Adonis loved Venus.
And Desi loved Othello.
Because he had a big sword.
Iago said, I'm gonna shaft him, boy.
What are you gonna do with tell us?
And I know it's taking God that he's too damn jealous. And to do a kind of slow.
So he found a Trump sucker by the name of Cassio.
So Othello gets to warrior and just maybe if, while he been out fighting,
Abandoning an army.
I'm Desi and Cass playing high at the salami. Salami.
So we come back on each other pillow in her face.
He kills her and soliloquizes about his disgrace.
there's Amelia at the door who we met in Act 4.
Say, you big dummy, she weren't no hoe. She was pure, she was kicking, she was virginal too. So why'd you have to go and make her face turn blue?
It's true!
It's you!
Now what you gonna do when Othello say,
Damn, this is getting pretty scary.
Pulled out his blade and committed Harry Carey.
that funky war thing, right? Oh, that is so hot. Iago got caught, but he probably copped the plea.
Loaded up his bag.
And moved to Beverly.
That is.
Okay. So what do white folks think about the word more? White folks are clear on the fact that the word more applies to black people. So we look insane internationally if I tell somebody I'm a Moor, but I'm not black. They're like, wait, you sure you read Knock? you do know that Moor means black person, right? Because see, it's just another way of saying it. You know, you had a different language, so the other language they said Moor, but it means black person. See, that's when we confuse words for what they represent, and we do that a lot. We get so comfortable because we only speak one language. So we get comfortable with the fact that a word means a thing, and then we get locked into that. Ooh, black. They didn't use the word black yet, they used the word more. You go back further, they use Kim, it's the same process they're talking about. It's the same thing that they're representing, the same ideology that they're trying to confer or articulate. All right? So that's just a little left Terralona, right? And you see they put the part in there, it says he was from Venus, and the girl loved him because he had a big
Sword.
right. Okay, so they're not confused on who you are. Okay, you might be. Okay, inky dink, you think? All right. So let's fast forward to right now. Let's just fast forward. You know, Minister Inky all over the place. I just had to put this in here because I seen Fruitvale Station, and I said, wow. I said, boy, till you keep underestimating the European, you always gonna lose. The white boy is bad. You got to admire the European, boy.
Yeah, big juju.
Got to admire the European. What's the odds? Because I know, oh, well, that's not related. That's a coincidence that Fruitvale Station came out the day before the Zimmerman verdict. The day before the Zimmerman verdict? Oh, man. You know what I should have did? I'm sorry, everybody. What I should have did is I should have took y'all through all the etymology and definitions for entertainer and movie and cinema and what's that designed to do. Okay? It's designed to get emotional responses out of you. okay, to bring you to a specific set of emotions and put you in that state, right? So when we deal with a movie release, because then I know people are going to say, oh, well, brother, you know, yeah, that could be true in most instances, but that's a black brother made that film. You know, a brother from the neighborhood made that one, and he wrote it and he directed it, so that don't apply to Fruitvale. The Weinstein Company is the major American film studio founded by Bob and Harvey Weinstein in 2005 after the brothers left Disney, okay? Miramax Films, which they had co-founded in '79. They retained ownership of Dimension Films, a label of Miramax. This is a Weinstein movie. But sometimes we get confused, okay? We think things is black. Like when they say, oh yeah, well, such and such own a record label. He doesn't really own a record label. Puffy don't really own a record label. He represents a record label. Okay? He's the front runner, like how they put Aunt Jemima on the syrup. Okay? Aunt Jemima and Aunt Jemima's children don't get no money off that syrup. She sells the syrup. She's the marketing tool to sell the syrup, but she's not getting any refund, any residual income off that syrup. All right? So this is not whatever the guy's name is. It's not his movie. It's their movie. Okay? They allowed him to make and release the movie on their schedule. In fact, when you make an investment, they have to give you the schedule, the time when it's going to be released and all that. Right? So he don't even control that. All he can do is try to do his best to make sure that the movie that he wrote and he visualized comes out to the best of his ability with the editing and so far and so on and so forth. But how many theaters carries it, which theaters carry it, when the release date is, he don't got nothing to do with that. That's the big boys, the Weinsteins, the Jews, okay? Same folks who privately funded Zimmerman's defense team. So, no coinky-dink for me. I just thought I would put that in there for you. Just in case you didn't see the movie, you can see the movie and figure it out for yourself, okay? Your time is now. Now, why do I put that there? Because in our desperation to escape the situation that we're in, people can tap into that frustration and lead us with the hope. Because hope is all you have when you've been oppressed for so long. Okay? But the only way we're going to get out of the situation that we're in is to dig down inside and become more than what we are. Okay? That's internal. That's biology. That's biological. Okay? That's being able to tap into the information that our ancestors left us. Like the fine constant number, 1 over 137, that fraction, the magical fraction, as they say, and being able to apply that to the black biology. We have to become something more, right? Because when we look at Fruitvale Station, right, we see Oscar Grant, all respect due to Oscar Grant and his family, but Oscar Grant and his friends, his buddies, they was out getting high and drunk, you know, whatever the case may be. When we look at Trayvon Martin, Trayvon was going to get Skittles and soda. Okay? We've been practicing we've been in tune, following the laws of Ma'at, or even following the laws of understanding. You wouldn't be going to get no liquor to put in your body. You wouldn't be with a crew of people with liquor in their body, right? You wouldn't be going to get no late night Skittles, none of that. You've been in a house. Sometimes our habits take us down paths that we don't want to be down. Sometimes our habits take us down paths because our habits also can dictate the people we surround ourselves with. Okay? So it's important to see that movie and just see what you can take away from that movie, because Fruitvale Station also in compliment to the writer and director, was able to capture how, as a black man in this country in today's day and age, you have to wear many faces. Meaning, the average dude just to stay afloat, he got to have some kind of hustle off the books, whether that's, well, they're all illegal off the books. Let me just say that. Sometimes people think the guy selling books is different than the guy selling weed across the street. Now, y'all niggas can all go to jail. Okay, it's just the hustle you pick, you know, which gets you to sleep at night best, all right? But you gotta have a job, then something on the side, then you got to be the aggressive, quote-unquote, gangster, then you got to be the clean, oh, man, well, I'm sorry about that, ma'am, I can help you out. You gotta be able to switch it up, right? So it was able to just capture some of the essence of how just a lot is put on us, you know what I'm saying, in a visual, realistic way. So your time is now, all right? It's not the next generation. It's not going to be the kids that do it. Stop being a bum, okay, everybody with that. Oh, yeah, well, you know, we got to do it so that we got to put it on the decks. We got to teach the babies because the next generation is going to be the ones that know. That's lazy. You're going to be the one to do it. If you don't do it, the next generation ain't going to do nothing but what they seen, which is what we doing, all right? We're saying the next generation going to do it because the last generation said the next generation going to do it. And that's exactly why they got to kill off people like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, right? Because they were vastly different individuals, but they had one ideology that ran through that same current. From Martin to Malcolm to Noble Dru Ali to Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, all them brothers had one thing in common. They said, no, we're going to do it now. No, not the next generation. We're going to do it now and set the tone for the next generation. So your time is now. Okay? We have to become more. We have to become more. We have to look at that word in a different light. More. Okay? Maybe we should start saying M-O-R-E. Maybe we should start putting that around. Because that's what we have to do. We have to become more. We have to avoid, and unfortunately, we got to go back to those scriptures. The Quran. Okay, I wanted to come here and pull up a whole bunch of stuff out the Quran, because I always go into the Bible, so we go into the Quran and get busy, but we didn't do that today. But we have to avoid the temptation, because that's what's killing us. Money, sex, food. And you could, you know, you can live in the Nile if you want, you know, the Nile. Okay, you're over here in America, but you live in the Nile. Okay, if you want, but that, I know it's only justifying your own BS. That people hit me all the time. Yeah, oh, well, I got this infection. Oh, that's nothing, brother. You just got to stop eating XYZ. Oh, man, well, how am I going to do that? Sorry. How are you going to do that? You will stop purchasing it. If someone else purchases it, you will refuse to put it in your mouth. If someone forces it in your mouth, you will refuse to chew and swallow. I mean, how are you going to stop eating it? So we gotta get past temptation. I mean, they said it thousands of years ago. Okay, the devil's going to tempt you. You got to resist it. That's what we have to. We have to become those people. Okay. If we're going to be Moors, then we have to stand on our square of what the ancient principle of what Moor is, before they turn Moor into meaning dead, because Moor means dead, if we go by what the Europeans say. Okay, so we have to take it back to its ancient precepts, okay, which is where the same root that they got Amor from, which is love. Okay, so we have to go back to those precepts. And the only way we're going to love ourselves is to know ourselves. And if you don't know what's going on internally in the body, you don't know yourself. You don't have knowledge of self. I've been saying that for 5 years now. You do not have knowledge of self because you know how many miles is from here to the sun, nigga. You gotta stop that. That's not knowledge of self. Yo, well, you know how many miles the earth is made of because it spins at this speed. Hold on, brother. I said knowledge of self. Tell me how fast the blood's circulating through your veins. That's knowledge of self. Okay? Make it simple. Where's your hamstring located? Like, just give me something easy. Okay? So we got to get knowledge of self. All right? Money. This is what people says is the solution to our problems. Not knowledge of self. It's not knowledge of self, brother. Because you know what? You know, these babies, they can't eat no knowledge of self. You know what I mean? These babies can't eat no books, brother. So they need economics, because when you get into the economic aspect, that's going to give us on the books. On the books, meaning with receipts. Black folks spend 750,000. I'm sorry. 750,000? Oh, 750 million. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8. Oh, 750 billion a year. Black folks spend 750 billion a year. But how do we do that without any money? So we got money. And this is what receipts. This is what people are claiming. And we know it's at least double that. And we take off the book spending. Okay? So when you go get this fruit smoothie from the person on the corner at the stand, there's no receipt for that. That doesn't count. Okay? When you get the bootleg, that doesn't count. When you get your hair done in the beauty salon, okay? You may not have had a beauty salon before, but let me tell you, very few of those hairdos are going onto the books. A lot of that's going in pocket. They're claiming what they have to claim so that no folks come lock them up at the end of the year. Okay? So at least double this amount is being spent by black folks yearly. $1.5 trillion. So how do we spend $1 trillion every year without any money? How do we do that? The obvious is true. We got money. We got money. Anytime you got a classroom in the poorest neighborhood where everybody got on $200 sneakers, we got money. Everybody got on $200 sneakers. These niggas got iPhones. Break the iPhone, get a new one in 3 weeks. I don't have an iPhone. Kids got iPhones. PlayStation, PS2, PS, all that. None of that's free. All that requires money. Some of these kids got more electronics than me. Okay? That requires money. So then, the next thing is if money is going to get us out of the situation that we was in, that we're still in, why hasn't it done it yet? And what's the number that we have to hit? Maybe we need more money. More money. Maybe we need more money. Right? Maybe we need more than $1.5 trillion every year. So maybe somebody should come out with a DVD and tell us how much money we need to get free. How much? Because $1 trillion a year, I mean, we're spending $10 trillion in a decade? 15 trillion, excuse me, I forgot the 0.5. That's low ball. Because right now, we in a down economy. Niggas got $1 trillion.
Brothers got $1 trillion.
Excuse me. Brothers got, oh, you know, sister's in class this week. She missed last week. There was quite a few N-words last week.
Oh, I gotta make sure I don't miss no more.
Right. You hear brothers got $1 trillion in a down economy, and we still sick. In fact, we're getting sicker every year. Jails, they're building more jails because they don't have enough places to put all the brothers. So we're getting more money every year, but we're getting sicker every year. We're going to prison more every year. What's the problem? We're getting money. In fact, we have people singing songs about throwing the money on the ground. They throw it on the ground now. That's how much money we have, that we go to the club. We work hard, we risk our life, we might even kill a few other brothers. Steal, rob, do whatever, or poison, chemically. We do whatever we gotta do to get the money, and we have so much of it now, $1.5 trillion to be exact, we're throwing it on the ground. We're throwing it away and making it rain. Make it rain. Make it rain. You go to the strip club and make it rain. And see, we're not even smart about that. Because if we were smart about that, I'm coming right to you. If we were smart about that, we would know that although most of the strippers in there might be black, The owner is not. He come around, get all that up with the garbage bag, right? Don't ask me how I know. It's none of your business. None of your business how I know what goes on in the strip club. I've studied in the, I do science work in the strip club. I'm in the strip club studying the propensity of a cheek to vibrate within the confines. It's deep. You just don't worry. We're gonna see what's going on. Okay? But that money may not even. That's leaving the community too. All right. So we getting money. We got sports players. We got lotto winners, business owners, entrepreneurs, actors, entertainers, oil men, which is something we don't really know that much about. Okay. A lot of this black, a lot of the oil money circulates through the black folks. Okay, because you got them folks in the South that owned all that real estate down there. When the white folks use their computers and discover some, oh wow, that's Johnson. Who owned that? The Johnson. And you just get old cranky people. They might be illiterate. I ain't selling. No, I ain't selling. But sir, you don't look. I'm gonna pay you all this. You can put more zeros on. I ain't selling. What we gonna do? You gotta kill him. I mean, you can't kill him. Everybody in the neighborhood. Okay, well we'll give him a percentage. We're gonna give you 1% of all this every. Okay, whatever. Not selling. So you got oil money circulating through the black community. Computer technology geniuses. People have even created specific aspects of computers. In fact, the very science. Okay. For those of you that have the book Sunday School, you know the whole science of computers, the very electron vacuum tubes comes right off the walls in Egypt. It went right to the Temple of Dendera and was like, oh, wait a minute. These people had equipment to generate UV. Wait a minute. What? So they had, whoa. Sandblasted. We gotta start sandblasting this. Copy everything down, and we're gonna start sandblasting this. They can't know. Yeah, but they've been taking pictures, and the Arabs have been selling $5 tours down here, so everyone's seen this already. Okay, we'll make up a story. In fact, let's get a whole group of people. We'll call them Egyptologists, and they'll have the organized spin on this. We'll tell them that this is a lotus flower. Yeah, that's how we'll do it. This is a lotus flower, or it's an alien spaceship. Bam. Brothers will be confused forever. They'll debate. No, it's a lotus flower because you don't understand the science of the meditation when the lotus flower blooms from the top chakra. It's blooming from your top chakra. Okay? So when your top chakra is activated with the stimulation of the pineal gland, you have a lotus flower because it blooms from the water, and the body's made of water, so it's blooming. Okay, now, better enroll in them online classes, all right? So they have took the real science and left you with the blooming lotus flower or the aliens, and went back to Silicon Valley and got busy. And they figure out, oh man, semiconductor. Hold on, this thing can, wait, this can control black holes? Oh, wait, hell, what? Wait a minute, this is made out of copper. Ain't black folks made? Sandblasted, sandblasted. They can never find this out. They can never find out there's black holes moving through black bodies. Right? So they even went as far as to name modern science or quantum magnetics and all of that. They attribute all the modern science to Albert Einstein. Not to the guy Albert Einstein was studying, stealing all his material. But then then it just blows open the whole boom. So they say Max Planck, you say, well, what Max Planck known for? Black body radiation. I'm sorry? You said all of modern science came from what? Black body radiation? Oh, you mean because niggas draw heat? I mean, brothers draw heat. Yeah. That's where all science came from. And we know that intrinsically, but we're not applying it to get this stuff. Right? And the reason we're not is because we don't know this about ourselves. This is why even with this $1.5 trillion, we still have not gotten it together yet. So money is obviously not the solution. Money is not the solution. Economics is not the solution. Because if you don't have knowledge of self, if you don't know yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you don't love your brothers and your sisters, your mothers, your fathers, your ancestors, your children, when you get the money, you're not going to know what to do with it. In fact, you'll put a small value on the rest of your people, and that's how you can kill them over a pair of sneakers. That's how you can stab him if y'all rolling dice and you rolling dice. Now you done stood there and you done took this man whole rent. You know he don't know what he gonna go tell his wife. So you done took $1,000 from this dude. Now he rolled one more dice with you for $20, knowing he don't got it, but he trying to get back his $1,000 that's in your pocket. And you ready to stab or kill this man because he ass betted you for 20. I'm sorry. You got $1,000 of his dollars in your pocket. Damn right he tried to. Huh? He tried to get back. But our value on life is so small that we'll take one of our own brother's life for $20. We'll take his life for $20. But let a European little old guy, 70 years old, knock on your door and say, you gotta get out, you ain't pay the rent. No, you gotta get out. You and your family, I gotta get out. I didn't pay the rent, so get out. No, out. Pack up your, no, get out. Please, let's give me one more day, because I'm getting ready to make it. Please, please. You might even go out and rob or kill from your brothers to pay that little tiny defenseless European guy. So where's the value on life? We don't have it because we don't know it. We don't understand life. So how are we going to put a proper value on something we don't understand? We don't understand the process of blackness. We don't even understand that black is a process. Okay. So let's look at the word more and see where the confusion came in. Because we know Europeans didn't have no languages of their own. They borrowed / stole everything from us. Okay? So let's look at the word more. Okay, this is its original spelling coming right out of the hieroglyphs. M-R. In fact, the Egyptian word still in use today for pyramids is mer. Okay? Now, when you look at the African languages that surround Egypt, all of these words, okay, they call them the Bantu dialects or the Congo dialects. All of these words refer to two things: a funeral and entombment. A funeral and entombment. Okay? So this is how people that didn't know any better, that were borrowing / stealing, began to associate a word they didn't understand with death. This is how they began to associate a word that they didn't understand with death. You have to remember, you have to go back to the Rosetta Stone. How did they decode the languages? Finding a way somewhere where they've seen you use it somewhere. Oh, he said dot, so that means a small thing. Okay, dot means small thing. Come on, guys. Dot means small thing. What if dot has multiple meanings? Then they'll be stuck. If they only attribute dot to a small thing, because it could be a particle. It could be a germ. It could be a sperm cell. It could be, because all of the hieroglyphs have multiple levels of meaning. So this is where the beginning of the confusion started, okay? In a similar way, the Bemba Bantu word Malilo, when you deal with the Bantu languages, R's and L's are interchangeable. Has two meanings. The first being awake, wailing. The second meaning the place of mourning, okay? Mourning, okay? Mourning. Okay, so again we see more having a negative connotation to mourn for your loss. More. Death. Just saying. The Kiswahili Bantu word for wailing is Malilo, compacted to Malio or Mario. Okay? Right? This is your African continent. Right? Now, what is this doing here, brother? Okay. Because you know I be all over the place sometimes. All right? But I thought this was important in reference to why we have to have these conversations and correct some of the information as we move forward as a people. Because we don't love ourselves enough. Going back to the same principle. Because we don't love ourselves enough. We don't put a high value on ourselves. We don't see that other people put a high value on us. We don't see that. So when we do classes like this and we do our little lectures like this, we don't understand that black, white, yellow, red, whatever, there are people that are going to take this hook, line, and sinker and not do any research on their own. I always suggest do research. In fact, somebody commented on my YouTube video earlier. I said, brother, go do some research. And I hate when people ask me for sources. Like, what is that? What is that? Sources. I've never seen that in school. Never seen that. Never seen white folks ask for a white person's source. Only black folks. And where's the white folks that told you this? Who's the white folks that says okay for you to teach this? No, you do your own research. Okay? So I was talking about Nat Turner being flayed. All right, we can talk about that later. All right, but this is a gentleman right here who was a producer of the Fugees video. Well, one of the Killing Me Softly. All right, so he was well known throughout the music business, and he took very literal the information he was getting through the European underground movements and the black conscious movements that the world would be coming to an end. And we had to do something about it. So he started raping his daughters. He started raping his daughters to create a pure bloodline so that when the whole world was over, he would basically be the new Noah with his pure bloodline he created with his daughters. And now my man got 90 years.
He had children?
Yeah. He got children with his daughters. So his grandchildren is his children also at the same time. At the same damn time. At the same damn time. Granddaughters and daughters at the same damn time. So it's important that we get this information correct. Because people don't research and they act. They act. Okay? And this is not a man. Again, another reason why I have him here is because he was not a brother that was lost for economics. He was doing videos for the Fugees. So, what happened to him? Wasn't economics. He had some economics. Knowledge of self. No knowledge of self. Okay? The world coming to an end. What your baby's gonna do? Ain't they part of the world? All right. So the Meroitic script. All right. This is an alphabetic script derived from the Egyptian hieroglyphs used to write the Meroitic language of the Kingdom of Meroe in Sudan. Very important that we need to look into this. And in the later semesters, we're gonna go deep into this. Now you can do your own research, all right? The reason this is here was because, let me slow it down. The script was deciphered in 1909 by Francis Llewellyn Griffin, a British Egyptologist, okay? Egyptologist. Every time you hear Egyptologist, remember that this is a trained liar. So I want you to train your mind to build the neural networks. Every time you hear Egyptologist, he's an illusionist. He's a magician. It's his job to make you think something different about your ancestry than it actually was. Okay? That's what they do. They spin. Everybody seen that Michael Keaton show before? What was that show? You know Michael Keaton? Or Michael J. Fox? What was that last show he had? Spin City. Bam. Okay, that's what they do. Spin City. All right, so you got a reference point for it. All right, based on the Meroitic spellings of the Egyptian names. However, the language itself has yet to be translated. Okay, so you have the Meroe in Sudan. We already discussed the origin of Sudan, from Aswan meaning black. All right, black people, black nation again. Okay, developed by in the Napatan period, etc., etc., etc. Why do we have this here? Because these are the things that we have to do for ourselves if we want to understand the true essence of words. We have to go back to the origin where these words were first created and get the definition there. Okay, we have to get the definition there. All right, and we have to stop relying on white folks to interpret our ancestors' information. Now, I have this up. The reason I have this up, well, a couple of reasons. This here, the current position of modern scholarship is that the Egyptian civilization was an indigenous Nile Valley development. Okay? Now, the reason I read that out of context is because I want you to get that before I read the whole paragraph. The current position of modern scholarship is that the Egyptian civilization was an indigenous. Indigenous means they come from that area, the Nile Valley development. The findings from the UNESCO conference debated the points of agreement and disagreement concerning the black hypothesis and other theories, and concluded that the ancient Egyptians were not black. Were not black, but they were indigenous. Now, these folks are well aware that black represents a process of being able to blend, produce, radiate, store the different wavelengths of the electromagnetic spectrum. They're well aware of that. So when they say that this was an indigenous group of people that was not black, they're playing with your mind. You can't be indigenous to a desert area where it's 100 degrees and not be black unless you're damn near dead. White folks could not even come outside. I mean, they can't come outside here. 85 degrees. They got to load up with all kind of... There was no suntan lotion back then. So how would they come outside? Okay. Now, here is their table of nations. Okay. Here's their table of nations, and this is how they describe themselves. Okay. They describe 3 races, not 4. 3 races. We had the Namu, all right, which were the wanderers, all right. The Nahasu, which were Africans, okay, black folks. Then you had the Tamahu, which were the Europeans, or the pale yellow people, or the Deshretu. The Deshretu, which means red devil. All right? For themselves, they use the phrase Rom na Rom, which means men above men, or men above mankind. Okay? And the word they use, see, that was the term to describe the word. The word was Kemetu, okay? Which is black people, okay? Now, why would this group here, Nahasu, which are clearly black, not be a part of this group? Biology. See, these are your black folks that in their time were doing the equivalent of eating cheese doodles and macaroni and cheese and fish sandwiches, and they had the potential, but they weren't exercising the potential to take their bodies to another level. Something that today we would be called superhuman, or the God body, right? So, this is why they were men above mankind, okay? This is why they were called black, because they were exercising their ability to tap into the source of all life, as opposed to just living for their lower nature, okay? Misnomer, the lower chakras, sex, food, and shelter, okay?
What's the name of that group?
Kemetu. 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 K-M-T-Y-W. Like that. Technology, boy. I mean, Google searching that junk right now. All right? So this is another table where they have some variations on the nations. Okay? The ancient Egyptians referred to themselves as Rome na Rome, men above mankind. Now, what's interesting is, for a long time, we had no way of clarifying what our scholars, as well as the European scholars, how they interpreted these hieroglyphs, okay? Until the science of haplogroup typing popped up. Now with haplogroup typing, they can check your DNA and determine everything. Where you came from, what area you came from, who you reproduce with, etc., 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 all the way down. Haplogroup typing confirms this scientifically. Mankind and humankind are different. Those differences not only create drastically alter your physical reality, but your mental and spiritual reality. Okay? Drastically. So there's actually a haplogroup out of Africa that to this very day is black and has no mixture in the DNA with Europeans. Then you have blacks. Then you got other folks. Okay? So this is why there's a distinction between the men above mankind and those with the potential that's still on the dairy and, you know. Okay? Same thing going on back then, going on now. All right? Now, what is this? Origin of cannibalism is back, baby. It's back. What are you talking about, Mr. Inky? I'm going to tell you. You get a little time check. Oh, we good. Origin of cannibalism. Long time ago, Europeans realized there was something inside of black and brown people that allowed them to function out in the sun, just in general, with music and dance and the way we thought and our creativity. It's just our look. I mean, we were black and brown, they were not. So there was something inside of us that they didn't have inside them. And they just figured the best way to get something was to just eat it. That's how you consume something. That's how you get it inside you. They're just going to eat something. So fast forward. Thousands of years, they're still obsessed. All right, so we went through the HEK293 where they taking the baby cells and putting them in your food and all that, getting it that way. But they have, oh, and this is just one, melanotan 2, aka the Barbie drug. All right. This is basically a tan without no sun. It's a synthetic. It's a synthetic melanin. It's a synthetic melanin. So, why do I have this here? Because while we got groups of folks running around telling you, don't call yourself black, you can't be a black person, blah, blah, blah. There's some folks waiting in line for what you got, and you don't put a value on it. They dying to get some. They dying to get some. Dying to get some. There's no way I'm going to have somebody stick a big long needle in my navel or my abdomen every 2 days. That's crazy.
Same person.
That's the same person. This is before he started taking the drug, and this is after he started taking the synthetic melanin. See, he's preparing. See, listen, these folks study, they study, they study. That's what NASA's spending all their money studying sunspots for. They understand that revelation that they was talking about in the back of the Bible, that they was talking about in the ancient scriptures before the Bible even came along and remixed everything, is talking about at some point when the sun hits this sucker with more juice than it can take. Okay, they call it solar flares, coronal mass ejections. They prepare it. They know that the people that don't have this, will not be able to stand a week of 120 or 140 degree weather. Go ahead.
If it's synthetic melanin,
Uh-huh.
they had to take that from the original?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. That's why I said the origin of cannibalism is back. Come on, sis.
When melanin was popular a while back, they were taking it. They found that it had psychotropic type of
Effects.
effect, and it became dangerous for them. I see now that they're
Well, they're refining. They're still in the laboratory.
Dosage and stuff.
They just they perfecting it. That's all. They just in there perfecting it. Right? Because they take, see, They investing their time and their money into this. They studying black biology like nobody's business. Every 10 years, they spend $1 trillion on studying black biology. We're not spending our time on it. If you're not enrolled in the class already, white folk killing us. They studying black biology, left and right. So while you tell yourself, oh, I'm not black. No, there's no such thing as blackness because I'm not black. Because black means slave. And okay. I don't think they think that. They might be telling you that to oppress you and keep you down long enough so they can duplicate your genetics. Then they can put you in the oven. And until then, they gonna keep you confused. Okay, you dark as him. You a free white man. Okay, I got you. I got you. I understand.
The melanin shot, does that affect their biology any? With your appreciation of melanin, would you consider a shot like that?
I wouldn't need a shot. I know the process. I know how to do it natural.
If they ever were black, how come they can't regenerate that?
But they never was black. That's also baloney.
That's what I
Yeah,
always
white folks
think.
started that rumor. In fact, the elder statesmen of the black conscious community that brought us those theories, you gotta remember, they educated white universities, fed white grant money. So, and the whole ideology is you could slip in all whatever you want to say to them folks, but also make sure you say this. As long as you say this, you can say whatever you want. So you get a whole bunch of truth with a little urology in there. Eurocentric information slipped in there. So they want to tie themselves back in. The white folks is a whole different species. All right? And that's why they have to keep getting the shot every 2 days. Because even once they get the shot, it don't reproduce throughout their body. You just got what you got. You know, and if you 3 more days, it's gonna fade off. Alright? So this brother here, Nat Turner. Right? You gotta put Nat up. Okay? And I should have put the word up so we could see the words. Sometimes we need to see. But when Nat Turner was killed, everybody know Nat Turner, right? How many people know when Nat Turner was killed, they took his skin? They took his skin. What is that about? What is that about? How do they do that?
Make a garment for themselves.
2 things. Food and research. Food and research. We want to see what kind of information, because we already covered it earlier, so I know some of you came in late, but the state of mind is determined by the internal workings of the body, right? So what created his state of mind? See, we gotta figure out what created Nat Turner's state of mind biologically so that we can stop it from happening again. We gotta figure that out. That requires research. Just like if we want to create more Nat Turners, it also requires more research. We gotta figure out what created Nat Turner. Oh, I know what created Nat Turner because he was angry and he was tired of taking that shit, so he just went crazy. No. We see people like that every day. There's room full of people like that right now. Something different. And they didn't research everything, they just took the skin off. In a process they call fillet. Fillet.
Are you still alive?
Wait a minute. What does that sound like? You sure you vegan out? Fillet. Filet? Oh, okay. The white folks is cannibals. Right? And they got you practicing their customs without you knowing it. So it's spelled different, but the phonetics is the same. So filet is F-L-A-Y. So you could look that up. F-L-A-Y-I-N-G. Fillet is F-I-L-L-E-T. With a little apostrophe on it. Like fillet. Or fillet. Fillet or fillet. Let me get a chicken fillet. Let me get a fish fillet. Okay. All right. So here we go through some of the different spellings for pyramid and associations for pyramid. We're not going to do that. What I'm going to show you though is this is the glyph. This is the glyph for pyramid. Every time you see this, this is the glyph for pyramid. Now the pronunciation for this glyph had a spelling. This is that spelling right here. So this is the origin. This is the first usage of the word more. Because again, there were no vowels in ancient languages. Okay? So the first time you have the word more is a pronunciation for this glyph, which represents the pyramid. Okay? Now, taking you back to the beginning. That pyramid represents specific qualities taking place in your biology. Okay? When your red blood cells have a proper shape, it's a tetrahedron. This allows the red blood cells to contain light, store light, radiate light. Okay, this is what allows the process of biophotons to take place in the body. All right, this is what allows for the 100,000 chemical reactions that happen in your cells daily to take place. All right, the right geometry. All right, this is why if the geometry is wrong for the cell can die. Okay, that's all sickle cell is. There's nothing else wrong with the cell except the shape is wrong. So now the way it stores nutrients, defends itself, toxin, everything is off because the shape is different. The geometry is different. All right. So that's the point of this here, just so you can get that. All right. This is the first usage when we're dealing with the word more. All right. So if we want to deal with the Europeans, right? They said black means deaf, then more also means deaf, and then we can't use that either. All right, so if we're going to look past the Europeans in our usage of the word more, then why would we not look past the Europeans in our usage of the word black? Why? Who told you that? See, we got. Who told you not to do that? Because you can't have it both ways. All right. So if we're going to look past the Europeans to the origin of the word, right? Then we have to do the same thing for all of the words. We can't say, oh no, the Europeans said black means deaf. Well, they also said more means deaf, and it's in much more popular usage as deaf than anything else. All right, like the most popular root word for deaf, more. All right, so go back to its origins. This is where it is. It represents the pyramid. Now, the pyramid also represents a host of other biological functions. In fact, the pyramid shape is what allows for the process of blackness to take place, which is the blending or combining of the different wavelengths of the electromagnetic spectrum to produce life. This is why, well, I'll show you later on what a prism does to white light. All right? Pyramids are the greatest monumental structures on the planet known to mankind. Okay, we're not going to do too much fluff. All right, so the question is, what does the word pyramid mean? All right, so we consider the Russian source, pyramid, blah, blah, blah. Had two meanings. The first was wheat cake. Okay, so we know that's we know the pyramid didn't mean wheat cake. All right, because the Egyptian buildings reminded Greeks of pointy top cakes. Okay. Later, the Greek word pyramis signified a monumental structure built of stone with a square base. Okay, so now we see that the two European variations of the word pyramid related to what they saw, because they had no grasp intrinsically of the word, because they're not a part of the culture or the community that created or used the word. So all they could do is relate it to what they saw. Well, they made some really big buildings, so it's one meaning, and they have these cakes that look kind of, so it must be one of those. All right. Later, the Greek word blah, blah, blah. Special history. This is one version that proclaims that the ancient Egyptian pyramid, division of number or division of perfection, was taken from the Greeks. Etymology dictionary tells us that the Greek word pyramis is an alteration of the Egyptian pimar. So now we start to get into more definitions, the original definitions, all right? When you deal with division of perfection. And this is where the confusion came in with entombment or funeral, because when they put the bodies in the pyramids, okay, it wasn't just for dead bodies. That's number one. Living kings and queens, they used it as a ritual for transformation, all right? So it was designed for regeneration. And you have a couple people right now using pyramid technology to grow their vegetables, because the vegetables grow faster if you put them under a pyramid and all kind of. So it was about regeneration, and you can see that in today's application of pyramids that are structured nowhere near as perfect and placed nowhere near as perfect, because even the placement of the pyramids, especially at Giza, well, all the pyramids, because they're around a specific type of lining around the equator, all right? And they mark the center of UVB activity in their different time periods. So that's a whole other thing. But so we have the division of perfection. We just leave it there. The Greek word pyramis then crossed into the Latin and the European, blah blah blah, describing pyramidal construction in any European language. All right. Only educated people would have known the pyramids in Egypt during the medieval ages. The first written interpretation of the word pyramid in Europe was 1555 and meant one of the ancient structures of the king of Egypt. Okay, so they had no idea still what it was when they were using the word. They just said it belonged to the king. Oh, what is? Oh yeah, that belongs to the king. But what is that? I don't know. I know who it belongs to, but I don't know what it is. Okay, after the discovery of the pyramids in Mexico and the development of more science in the 18th century, the pyramid became a real geometrical figure and a structure of the pyramidal form. It meant that everything which had a pyramidal form from then on became known as a pyramid. All right. If we address the languages where the pyramids are located, we will find more ancient treatments of this term. The ancient Egyptian word for pyramids is mer, pronounced as mer, but the origin of the word is unknown. Okay? Now this is how white folks treat you. See, this is why we got to do these classes. Okay? Because we like the excited Minister Inky, and we got to do these classes too. You got to go through language and grammar and all this kind of stuff, because this is important. Now, how you find something somewhere and say the origin is unknown? Right? How do I come over here? That's like I just came in this room from nowhere. Like I'm not the teacher right now. I'm just a guy. I'm walking in, and I pick up this marker. Somebody says, "Hey, where'd you get that marker from?" I don't know. The origin is unknown. Then somebody else says, "You just picked it up from right off the origin. The origin is right there. We just seen you pick it up. Origin is right there." So they went and they got this off the walls, right off the hieroglyphs. That's why I showed you the whole page of the hieroglyphs. They went and got this right off the walls, and then they said the origin is unknown. Because see, they know you're not going to study you. You're going to study them. That's what we getting lost at. We studying white folks studying black folks. Come on. We from the hood, we know. Improve any business, what you gotta do? Cut out the middleman. Okay, well, white folks studying black folks, we studying white folks. We have to cut out the middleman. We gotta start studying blackness. And the first part to studying blackness is to understand the value in blackness itself. They don't know the origin. That's the insult. Slap in the face. Nobody knows what this means. In modern Egypt, every pyramid has its own name. For example, Khufu's, Menkaur's. The Arabic word for pyramid is pronounced haram, meaning ultimate age or size. Consequently, the term pyramid in the Arabic world is the most ancient and largest construction ever built. Okay. Now, real quick, we're not going to go too deep. Want to go real deep? Yeah, go through the classes. Okay, everything ain't gonna be live for everybody. You gotta get into school, go through the stages and the levels so you understand how this science applies to the black biology. Okay? But the difference in these two pyramids, an acute or sharp pyramid is able to radiate the waves of the electromagnetic spectrum. Radiate the waves of the electromagnetic spectrum. This is where they're getting all this negative ion talking. An obtuse pyramid stores and collects the different wavelengths. This is why the Great Pyramid in Giza is such a wonder, because it combined the science of the sharp or acute and obtuse pyramid and can do both. And this is found in the genetics of the black body. This is what blackness represents. Okay, so this is what we can do.
What was his function?
The obtuse pyramid,
Yeah.
it can collect and store the different wavelengths of light and
Okay.
all the different energies.
Thank you.
Okay. So here is the usual and usually confused take on the origin of the word pyramid. Pyramid actually comes from Greek, pyramids, wheat cakes, blah, 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 blah. I think we did this. Keeping in mind the fact that the pyramids were constructed several millennia before Greece was even a thought in the mind of God, the ancient Egyptians also had several other words for pyramid, revealing a complex ideology. Ab-mer, which meant tomb, O-O, O-O, which comes from the Egyptian verb to journey, okay? Now, the reason why O-O was used in reference to the pyramids is because, well, I'll show you later on when we deal with the prisms, all right? But when you're dealing with the pyramids, pyramids have the ability to separate the different wavelengths of energy or light and boost them or slow them down. Okay, so they use them as a way for consciousness to travel from one plane to another. But so we'll deal with that. That's why there were different outlets in the pyramid aligned to different stars and things like that. It wasn't because, I don't know, white boys are confused the hell out of it. Zeitgeist. You know, because the constellation, and they built a pyramid. So they built a pyramid to show you what star constellation was up there when they built it. Huh? I'm gonna build a pyramid to point at a star constellation? It's crazy. We wanted to let you mark it. We wanted to mark it so future generations could know that the Sphinx was created when this constellation was above the Sahara. Okay.
What's the correlation with those other two pyramids in terms of their height and their width?
Well, basically, they just combine both sciences into the Great Pyramid. They just combine both sciences. So when you look at the Great Pyramid, which is a combination of a sharp and obtuse pyramid, this is why it's slightly imperfect or a slightly irrational number when you compute. Obtuse means that it's wide. See, it's wide.
More than 90 degrees.
Right. So they combined the Great Pyramid, and this is why they encoded a lot of things like the phi, 1.61, blah, 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 and fine constant number and a whole bunch of other stuff in there to show you the function of the pyramid. Because when we learn the function of the pyramid, then we'll understand the function of black genetics. And then when we understand the function of black genetics, we'll develop a system of black gene ethics to take care of our black genetics. This is why the book is called Black Genetics, Black Gene Ethics. Why it's the classes, Black Gene Ethics. Because once we understand what we got, or we understand the value of it, eventually, immediately, we'll love ourselves and we'll take care of it. Right? You get a computer costs a lot of money, it's quote unquote valuable, you want to take care of it. You don't want to drop it. You want to make sure don't let nobody touch it, don't eat next to my computer, don't value it. Right? You don't have the same value in your body, so you just grab a soda. I was on a train yesterday, I was disgusted. I watched 3 girls, they all sharing one Pepsi. Right? First of all, one girl had bumps on her lips. They all sharing one Pepsi, and then one girl, she got like a 2-year-old with her, and they give him some Pepsi. Then they give him some Pepsi, he like looking like the eyes is watering coming out. I'm like, oh. All right. So the Wakat Tebi, which was the base of the tomb, and the Pur, which is Coptic Egyptian for division and Met. All right, so we're dealing with the Pur, which is Coptic Egyptian. Now here they told us they got that from the Greeks. See? So you got to be able to cross-reference their information. Here they told us that the Pur, which meant division of perfection, came from the Greeks. But we know that it was really wheat cakes came from the Greeks. And the Coptic Egyptian is where they got the division, and then the Met was 10 or regeneration, right? And this is where, what's this guy's name? He quote unquote, white folks say he came up with this. Who's that? 4, 7, 10. Right? Who's the guy they say came up with that? And that's the basis for life and evolution and all of this slick philosophy. Give me 1 second, it's gonna come to me. But this is what he came up with. 10 dots in the shape of a pyramid. All right, and he's famous forever. Famous forever. Pythagoras.
Yeah, the Pythagoras. A squared plus B
Right.
squared equals C squared.
Right. Well, that a squared plus b squared equals c squared was based on the lengths and the golden mean. So that was golden ratio. But the 10 was called the tetractys or something like that. Y'all study white folks. You ain't studying white folks. You don't know what white folks doing. You gotta study white folks, black folks, red folks, everybody.
Have you ever studied the pyramids of Sudan and how they relate?
Yeah. Most of them are acute. Yeah. Most of them are acute. So we see this as a Coptic Egyptian. All right. Now also I'm just going to just throw it out there. All right. Just throw it out there. The Bible. Many will argue that the Bible, the original Bible, is Coptic Egyptian. Okay, and it has 99 books as opposed to the 66 books of the King James. But I'm gonna leave that alone. I ain't gonna go into the significance of the number 9 or the. I'm just leave all that alone and just move forward, right? The Ben. Okay, they called it a Ben because it was an obelisk to well up or overflow. Also, which is not here, which I should have put up here, was that Ben also meant mound. So when you're dealing with mounds, that's something that's also anciently attributed to Moors. Mound builders. So you look at the pyramid, you can see that's a perfected mound. Okay. This fool, Nut Mer, a pyramid city or town built around pyramids. Pur is house and wall off, okay, or an enclosure that surrounds, all right. Purna, which is the house of eternity, okay. Permet, which is the house of regeneration. Mer is a tomb. Mer, which is the enclosure or base of the pyramid. It appears that the tomb was essentially a source of regeneration. All right, a source of regeneration. All right, so hopefully you do your notes and your research, and you can see how the evolution of this term began to be associated with funerals, etc., etc., and then now is associated with death. Okay, damn it, death. More. And the only reason black is associated with death now is because black is synonymous with more. Okay? In ancient Egyptian, house was Pur and the word for pyramid was Mer. The word Ramadan, which according to some sources comes from the Arabic root word for parched thirst and sun-baked ground, Ramida, which is to burn, is somehow related to the word pyramid. Not only is it related to the word pyramid, but it's also related to the word black. This is all the definitions they give you for black. We did that last week. To burn. Burnt people and all burn, whatever the case. So we know Ramadan is about burning. And if we understand the process of burning internally in black biology, that's purification. That's what happens when we go on the fast. We purge it, we burn it, we purifying the body. All right? But that purifying is a property of blackness. Because when you purify something, if you burn it to purify it, right, then what does it do? It brings out the carbon in it. Like I take a piece of white bread, I stick it in the toaster for too long, and I burn it, it turns black. So it's not that I did an alchemical, I didn't transmute, I didn't create carbon with bread. I brought the carbon that was in the bread, holding the atoms and the molecules, the atoms that make up the molecules, excuse me, together. I brought that out to the forefront and got rid of the rest of the stuff, so now all we can see is the carbon. Okay? So, burn, purify. Right? Brick in Romanian, karamita, and in Greek. Tomb is a big mistranslation. Now, there's just a little common sense pointers for Minister, right? Tomb is a big mistranslation. Why would the people who believe in immortality need a tomb? Why would I need a tomb? If I believe in immortality, if I'm going to live forever, what do I need a burial place for? And why preserve the body?
Because your spirit might come back to that body.
So then that's a process of regeneration. That has nothing to do with death and everything with transitioning from one stage in life to another. The tomb was for regeneration of the physical as well as the light body and light travel or light body travel. Techniques of which, obviously, you already know. We study in this school. All right. So, white. Now, we dealt with black at the beginning of the class. Now we're going to deal with white. White is the color of fresh milk and snow. It is the color the human eye sees when it looks at light which contains all the wavelengths of the visible spectrum. At full brightness and without absorption. It does not have any hue. See, this is how this could be real confusing for somebody not familiar with all these terms. That's why we kind of covered a lot of this in the beginning. Refraction. Refraction causes light's true colors to show. Okay? When we look at a prism, right? A prism, mirror. Look at a prism, it's a mirror. More, right? We see Lucifer, the white light, the deceiver, right? Because this is somebody. I'm sorry, Lord Abba, I gotta get you. Lord Abba. Lord Abba said, then it's the inky. See, you don't know science. Because the reason why when you put a white light through a prism, all the colors come out is because white light actually contains all the aspects of the electromagnetic spectrum, not black and dark. Because dark represents and black represents death and blah, 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 blah. It's because you're quoting instead of studying. Okay, if you study, then you get understanding. If you just quote what somebody else read, you're literate, you can use the Bible, you can do that, but you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so I got to correct you. You still my brother. More. Gotta get you though. Okay? So let's go back to this real quick before we go further. The color the human eye sees when it looks at light, which contains all the wavelengths of the visible spectrum. Contains all the wavelengths of the visible spectrum at full brightness and without absorption, which means that this is an illusion played on your eye. This is where the deception comes in. Because when all these photons hit your eye at once, boom, what you see is whiteness. That's all that means. You're getting all these colors hitting your eye at once, so it's bright. You see whiteness. Just like if it's too bright, you start to see spots for a few minutes and you can't see nothing. You gotta get yourself together. Okay? So that's why they make the distinction without absorption. Okay? Because absorption means that all of the wavelengths blend together and become one. When they do that, then that's blackness. When they do that, that's blackness. That's sharing. That's loving. That's what love means. That's the definition of love, coming together, becoming one. All right? So black is also a definition for love. We'll deal with that. So without absorption, it does not have any hue. So it doesn't intrinsically have any hue of its own. It is an illusion. Refraction causes light's true colors to show. Okay? The deceiver in the Bible, known as white light or daylight, is destroyed by Moors. I mean Moors. Wait. I mean pyramids. No. I'm sorry. I mean prisms. Okay, prisms. There we go. The refraction causes all the different wavelengths of light to change direction. Their individual velocities allow the naked eye to see them for what they really are, because white doesn't absorb light. White is a trick played on the limits of the optic system. So when the white light goes through a prism, all of the separate wavelengths that are moving together in the same direction, okay, will split up. And then you'll be able to see what's there. Prism can't do that to dark matter. Okay, because all those lights become one. That's what blackness means. All the electromagnetic aspects become one. That's why when our ancestors called you black, that's what they meant. You have the ability to take part in the source. You can practice sorcery. This is why in the Inquisition they was hunting down witches who could practice sorcery. Black folks. Okay? So don't tell a lie and don't make light of these facts. Okay? Pardon the pun. Right? Okay, you see lie. Oh, all right. So, is the European pink or red? Right? Because this is what they say. No. The European is the real colored man, because he's pink, and then he's red, and if he's cold, he's blue, and if you slap him, he turns purple. No. The European is not pink or red. I'll tell you why. It does not have any hue. Scientifically, white does not have any hue. So, when the white goes through a prism, what you're seeing is the colors that were moving together, all right, inside the white light, right? Now they're changing direction based on their own speed, etc., etc. So how does that apply to European? When you see the European's pinkness or redness, that's not his skin color. You're looking at the fluids in his bodies. So you're looking at the blood making him red. Just like when the blood is deoxygenated or he's cold, he looks blue. So he technically doesn't have any hue. He does not have any hue. So he's not red. He's white. He's a white man. So when the ancestors said Deshretu, the red devil, what they were telling you is that he doesn't have any color. That's why you can't trust him. When you see the red, you're looking at the blood in his body. When you see the blue, which is what the royal family still call each other, because they know this. They playing with you. Blue bloods. They playing with you. They're going to tell you, oh no, we call ourselves blue bloods because we have silverware. And when we eat with the silverware, we have a lot of silver in our body, so our blood. All right. The European is white, lacking color. Any color you see is due to his transparency. So what does that mean? If we go all the way back to the beginning of the class and we talk about what's the definition of complexion, the humors or the body fluids. So the European is not pink or red. His body fluids are. Okay? He's transparent, white, no color.
So when we see red, we see an arterial blood, and when we see blue, we see a venous blood.
That's right. So now, what is this about, Miss Thing? I don't know. I just thought this was a nice. I'm sorry. This is about love. Okay, this is how we get here. All right, this is how we get here And this is all we could do with our black genetics, with our limited knowledge. All we can do is use what we have to advance our ability to have sex, to eat, or to shelter ourselves, to cloth ourselves. Okay? So, when we're dealing with this, look at these brothers. The odds are, because there's 5 brothers here, the odds are 2 or 3 of them are on high blood pressure medication, diabetes, and they still look like this. I know, they call me. They think I need to, like, hey, you got, how I can get one of those? I don't even got one of those. Ah, brother, you don't know nothing. You calling me. I ain't calling you. Okay, so they look like this, but they still sick. They still sick. In fact, okay, all right. So scientifically, we got this. Scientifically, blackness represents maximum compression or sharing, okay? Maximum compression or sharing of electromagnetic waves, and this creates peace or non-movement. Peace is non-movement, or the illusion of non-movement, okay? Because we know that non-movement is really, that's why I didn't say, that's why I didn't use the non-movement, because we know this is a relative term. Like if I'm standing still right here, that's relative. Because I'm standing still on a planet that's moving 166 miles an hour, rotating, that's going around the sun at another couple thousand, 100, whatever. And so non-movement is relative. Peace, relative. All right? But this only comes from understanding what we have. All right? She's selling this, she's selling her body. Listen, Minister Inky has vast experiences in life. So I just happen to know from my various levels of research that porn stars get paid $600 on the East Coast and like $1,100 on the West Coast. I'm just saying. Have vast to perform in the movie.
One film?
Well, one role. They could be in one film and have multiple scenes. So per scene, try and keep it as clean as possible. You don't even want me to say the N-word, so I know you don't want me to elaborate. But per scene, the female stars get $600 on the East Coast, like $1,100, $1,200 on the West Coast, depending on what they do. It's extra credit, right? And then the brothers, the studs, they get like $150. Chump change, just give us a little juice and you about it. Right? But $150, they don't even know. They don't even know what they getting rid of. Right? But at least they get more than people that go to the clinics. People that go to the clinics and donate sperm for $20. Now, some places they give you like an orange juice and a lollipop. Good looking out, brother. Thanks a lot, man. We need that. Whoa. Have you never heard of stem cells? We didn't read detox and regeneration? You know about the black blood cells? Oh, man. You're getting and they giving the small joints. Not even the $1.50 Tropicana. They're giving you the 75 cent in a lollipop. Good looking out, brother. They're going to turn around and duplicate them joints. They selling them joints. You done one serving of sperm. You got like 500 sperms in that one serving, right? So technically, 500 million, excuse me. So technically, with the science of changing up the features in the baby and artificial insemination, which is on the rise now, along with all the alternative lifestyle laws that have hit the books where people same sex can get married now. That's on the rise now. That's getting crazy now. So you're selling your self cheap, right? So we deal with economics. We need to deal with black biology, right? Because they're getting hundreds of thousands, even millions off your body, and you're getting 150 or. Oh. So we go to Q&A. Questions and answers. Brothers are straight. You seen booty. They're done.
I want to know about the science of dreams.
The science of dreams. Okay. The science of dreams is, I have relegated. Wait, what was her question though too?
Her question?
Yeah, because I remember she had a question too. So what's the wife question? I know it's somehow both questions related to the.
She asked about when you sleep. I mean, when you sleep at night, are you getting ready to process the sun?
Yes, that is an awesome question. When you sleep at night, is your body preparing to receive the sun's rays tomorrow? What's the science of dreams? Now, y'all only gonna get the public version. You're in the class, we're gonna roll you into class, you're gonna get the private version when you get to the mind state.
No.
But I would say this. The ability to function in the dream world is predicated on your ability to absorb and process black light, which is one of the things the pineal gland does. The way the sun looks to us is not necessarily the way it actually. Not only that, every single heavenly body has an effect on our physiology. No matter how far away the black hole or the star is, it has an effect on our body. And this is the reason why we had various rituals that have been relegated to the realm of the pagan traditions now surrounding the equinox and some of the other celestial things that took place, because different quality of light comes down to the body with different celestial alignments. How does that relate to the dream world? Your ability to lucid dream. The European technology we had for going, crossing over every night, which is the European technology we have, for crossing over every night, is based on your body's ability to store up high concentrations of light in the body. The more light you store in the body, the more vivid your dreams will be at night. Those of us that are really sunbathing know that sometimes right in the middle of sunbathing we might get knocked out and be gone. We think we're dreaming for hours and hours and hours. Somebody wake us up, 30 minutes to pass. Like, yo, damn it. Oh. Because in the dream, it felt like you was there for 2 days. But you only been gone for a half hour. That's based on the light. The more light you store up, the more time you have over there. And what you do there can affect here. On the more mundane aspect of the same thing, throughout the day your body's storing up all of the UV it can hold, stores it up. This is what melatonin is for. So once it gets dark and there's no longer any light coming down to the body releases melatonin to do the same things at night or in the dark that the sun would do naturally throughout the day. And the answer to the question, is your body preparing today for sunlight tomorrow? Yes. Your body's preparing for sunlight every second. Your body wants it right now. That is the whole process of being black. That's the whole process of life. Everything wants to guzzle down sun. So that is the real scientific definitions of black and white, and then the esoteric undercurrent that plays out here with the application of it day to day in people's lives. White actually represents the process of not being able to take part in life. That's a scientific definition of a zombie, to be white. You're alive, but you're not living. Living is absorbing the different spectrum, the different aspects of the spectrum, and being able to tap into it and tap out of it, and all the things that we could do. Evolve. Become smarter. develop more consciousness. See, that's the difference between becoming more consciousness and just becoming more clever. See, if you can't absorb that radiation, you can't get more conscious. Because you can't conduct more electricity. You can't hold more light. You can't grow. But you can become more clever. You can become better at manipulating the things that you're available to deal with, which is clever, which is the pale fox. Right. So, and we just watched a movie yesterday about the father of invention, with this guy who wasn't an inventor, he was a fabricator, and so it was funny. But your body's always in a state of preparation to get more sunlight. That's how we grow. Every cell is thirsty. This is why we're so sick right now, because we're people that belong in the sun, and we stuck here in climates where no UV reaches us. And then the European has the same one that told us that more and black means death, has set us up to where we cannot function, because he will not give us the things that we need for our daily sustenance, food, shelter, and clothes, if we do not do what he tells us to do every day, which means all day while the sun is out, I need you to be in square aluminum buildings. What does the aluminum do? Aluminum makes sure that you cannot have any fractal symmetry with the environment around you. It means that your body cannot absorb electricity from the air and the things around you. In fact, the square aluminum structures that we live in, the cubes that we're in all day, the aluminum sucks life out of the body all the time.
On the side, houses.
That's right. So all day he got us moving from prison to prison. You're going to either be in school all day while the sun is up. We let you out at 5. Sun go down, you can go back outside now. You're not a threat.
What about when you wake up and you can't remember
You need more minerals in life.
Why is the Caucasians here? Or why are we in the same environment that he's in if our bodies are doing totally
That's
different
awesome.
things?
The reason the Caucasian is here, there's a couple of reasons. But the most important goes back to this, which is awesome that you even asked that question. It goes right back to this. Because he's here to challenge us to be more than what we are right now. He's here to bring the best of us out. Because if the best of us doesn't come out, we will die here. He is our challenge. I did a video, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. And in the video, I was explaining what illness was from a standpoint of natural law. Anytime you refuse to follow natural law, your body will develop symptoms, and the symptoms are only there to push you back into the confines of natural law. So as soon as you go back into natural law, the illness will go away. You got diabetes? Okay, no problem. You're going to put some herbs in there and start jump-starting some things and cleaning some stuff out, and you're going to stay off of this and stay off of that. In 3 months, you're not going to need insulin. Easy peasy, 1, 2, 3. The hard part is in the application. Oh, brother, I just had some pizza. I just had the, oh man, I can't get off the milkshakes. I like the Pepsis. So the how-to is simple. The mind is a different thing. The state. And the state of mind depends on what? The internal body condition. So if I can keep your internal body conditions at a certain level, I can control your state of mind, which is going to control your actions. So see, the European that studied the black biology 700 years ago. He'd been studying black biology. We just crazy. We not studying. So the European is here to push us to do more, to be more, and the time is now. Because our condition is only getting worse.
What is his reward?
Well, unfortunately, the European is only going to suffer and die. This is hell for the European. This life right here is hell for the European. Every aspect of nature attacks the European. Natural chlorophyll. It destroys the integrity of his cells. He's allergic to natural chlorophyll. No black folks have natural allergic allergens to chlorophyll. Europeans do. We don't even have natural allergic reactions to pollen until we start mixing with the Europeans and going on European diet. 60% of people that have allergy in the springtime, if they stop eating dairy, the allergies will go away in a year. So this whole environment, the pollen, just start tearing him up. He can't, the sun, everything tearing him up. That's why every so often they keep releasing oil in the water and all kind of wicked. Europeans at war with this planet and with the sun. He just didn't Obama launch a missile at the moon? What was he doing? Why would he launch a missile at the moon? I mean, I'm not allowed to use the N-word now. I mean, launched a missile at the moon. What are you doing? What are you thinking?
Have you ever heard of Pam Africa where she said, you know, that people didn't want her to call people MFers? And then she started giving a list of what the police do. And then she said, now you think I could call them?
Hey, so our time is now, though. Our time is now. We have to find a way to become more than what we are. Our life is not meant to be, you know, the subway, you know, and people be so proud of being a loser. And I just have to say it. People are proud of being losers. And if somebody don't say it, then it just won't get said, and we'll keep walking around with our nose up in the air, and I just be wanting to slap the hell out of people sometimes. You know, shit, well, you know, hey, what's up, sis? Yeah, you know, I work at the subway system, and you know, I get 60,000 a year, you know, so I'm with the transit authority. That's it. So you would give your whole life to the white man? You're a loser. If you're not dictating your own reality, you lost the game of life. You only get one go around. You have no time to dedicate to the cultivation of your spirit, which is the purpose of you being here, which is the reason the ancestors left the big pyramids, the monuments, the Tekkens. Then they came with the pyramid texts and the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and when you didn't listen to that no more, they gave you the Bible, and when you didn't listen to that no more, they gave you the Quran, and the Quran is angry as hell. So it's like a parent. When you tell your child, hey baby, don't make no noise, just sit down right there. The first time you say that, you just saying it nice because you're just telling your baby, you know, just sit down right there. Then your child don't listen, it start to get a little different. Now I said sit down right there. By the time you say the third or fourth time, like, if you don't sit down, I'm gonna whoop your... So that's where you get the Quran. It's like, if you don't do this, your hellfire. So you get the same message over and over, but now you're the angry version, right? But it's the same message. It's the same message. You know, we have to aspire to be more than a subway man. We have to aspire to be more than just earning $100,000 a year. That's not the end game. The end game is not to eat well and have sex well. Oh, well, I can have sex with all the women that I like, so I got all the cars, I got the chain, you know,